Hello guys, we're going today to measure a customer's roof. Had one call, wants some measurements, wants an estimate on a roof. First I gotta go. And that was too steep on the other side, so I decided to come to this side so I can crawl the hip. And a lot less dangerous than the other side. Let's get to the top. This is how to measure a roof for metal. We've got some shingles up here, and I'll show you in a minute where we got some hail damage, and it's beat the grit all the way off of the shingles, and it's on the back side where you can't see it, but there is some damage and we need to repair it. So the customer's called me to replace these shingles with metal. So in this video I was going to show you how I do my measuring for a takeoff on a metal roof. So I wanted to show you how I drew the roof. I start by going around. I stand in the highest point of the roof if all possible. I look around and I draw the box or the perimeter of the roof with eaves and rakes first. Then I start by detailing the valleys and the hips inside the shape of the exterior perimeter. And I try to draw to scale somewhat, so when I do get back to the office and I'm figuring this job, I can have some perspective on where maybe on one side of the roof there's a lean-to shed, on the other side there's a gable with a valley jotted out from the main roof. And if I draw it somewhat to scale, I try to notice these things while I'm measuring. That way I have some perspective. If I forgot a measurement, I can assume to the best degree that I can. If I have drawn drawings that was not to scale per se, and it made it a lot harder for figuring, especially on trickier roofs. This is a fairly easy roof to measure. With the hips, I'd like to measure each individual sheet and get a pretty good idea rather than ordering all solid. This keeps from a lot of waste. So I've got 19 foot exactly to the middle. So I'll write down 19 foot. That's exactly what my sheet should be. I hooked the bottom of the shingles and measured to the very middle of the ridge, and that's exactly what I order my metal. The shingle always has an eave drip on it, a metal eave drip, plus an extra inch overhang past the eave drip with a shingle. And for my metal, I don't want it too much more than that 2-inch overhang past the fascia board. If you get out any further than 2 inches, your overhang starts looking more like a barn, and you end up with a barn look on your house. So you want to keep your metal pretty close to the fascia board. You want a little more than a shingle because water follows metal a lot easier. It adheres to metal a lot better than it does shingles. Therefore, you have a roll around effect. The water rolls around to the bottom of the metal before it drips on a light drizzle rain. When it's flooding, it shoots off faster than it does shingles. So I want to keep the same length. But when I do install the roof, and I removed this ridge cap that we have. Let me show you that ridge cap. This is a vented ridge cap, vented system. It has a hole in the bottom of the roof and lets a little heat escape. When I removed that, I put 1x4s on top of this roof. I actually raised the levelness of the roof, meaning that from my eave to my ridge actually gets longer. So I end up with an 1 to 2 inch gap between both sides of the roof with my metal, letting the ridge vent still work. Hope you enjoyed the video on how to measure a metal roof.